What is going on today, guys? This Thursday, October 2nd was another incredible day in the stock market, especially for quantum stocks, which saw impressively massive gains, an eruption yet again in the quantum industry. And last night, I put a lot of work and effort into a video that kind of goes over all of September. So I encourage you to go and watch that if you'd like to learn more about what's been happening in quantum news and that type of thing. We're going to take a look at this beautiful watch list here where Rigetti, Arctic, D-Wave, and IonQ are all up over 10%. I'm going to speculate a little bit about maybe why this could be happening because I don't actually have the exact answer. And then we're going to look at a bunch of different stocks. So today is going to be a rapid fire day. Same format as usual, but I want to hit on a bunch of different stocks that are quantum and non-quantum. So we're going to have some fun with some market coverage today. All I ask of you before we jump in, do me a huge favor, obliterate the like button. All right, let's jump in. This shutdown at the moment has not been slowing down the market. So this Bloomberg article, Trump eyes firing thousands of federal workers over the shutdown. It's likely going to be in the thousands, White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt says. The entire team at the White House was working to identify possible cuts. So we have the shutdown going on right now. And of course, there's been a lot of shutdowns and there's always a political aspect to them. So it seems that at this point in time, the market is just looking past the shutdown. Take a look at this. I'm not sure how to describe the numbers that are on the screen right now. And I don't even know if I can give you a justification for these numbers, but Rigetti ended the day at $35.40 a share with an 18.5% increase. Arctic Quantum 18%, D-Wave 14%, IonQ 10%. Unbelievable moves because IonQ had been going straight down, like drilling down for many trading sessions. LAES is closing well above 4 at 8%, QUBT 5%, and down the list, a lot of our stocks, especially related to quantum, were doing well with QNCCF and BTQ having a little bit of sell-off. So you see that BTQ has got a little bit of momentum in the aftermarket. And then just showing you a different list here, Ondas had a big story today. So they sold 500 drones to the US. And this is the first US sale. The stock went crazy. It's up 26%. Since we started talking about it on this channel, I think it's moved up like 150 or 200%. I'm losing track at this point. Of course, this list has a little bit of different things, including quantum, but we also had Sound that posted a 10% day. Joby is doing amazing, a 10% day for Joby. Veritone, Poet is doing well. Nebius, and these are all stocks that I own or have a position in. So just kind of showing you kind of what type of move today, what an insane day to be an investor in AI, drones, and quantum. Unbelievable. And then the market itself was okay. Like it wasn't like a screaming buy everything, right? Like go out and buy any stock you can get your hands on. There was some sell down. And what I think on days like this is what I try to do is I tamp my exuberance. I tamp my excitement. So you're probably like, well, why aren't you so excited? Because I know there will be days in the future. I mean, before this, there were 4 or 5 red days where there was sell-off. And then you get a nice day like this. And sometimes that nice day never comes again. So I think it's important to just temper our expectations, not get too excited when we have a big day, not get too down when we have a red day, and just kind of understand that this is just the dynamic of the market. The trend overall right now, and the way this market is currently operating is a lot of these stocks are gaining more appreciation and thus more market cap, which is incredible to see. So we're going to cover like 13 different stocks and we're going to do this in like 10 minutes and I'm going to just rapid fire through this. So hope you guys enjoy this and let's jump into the stocks portion of this. So Rigetti is now sitting at its all-time high. I believe it matched or slightly surpassed its all-time high. So yes, it made a new all-time high today. Unbelievable. A push through 34, and it's now a $35 a share stock. And in Post, it's even up a little bit more. So we're in price discovery again. I've told you guys this before on the channel, but essentially price discovery means we don't have enough price history to know what sort of levels they're going to be. So I've marked out 33.94 because what often happens is resistance, where we see there was multiple levels of resistance at 33.94 where the stock was sent down. We also saw support at 29.29 or thereabouts. And then we saw a gap fill and a push through this 34. So now we're seeing Rigetti trading above, and potentially this could become support for Rigetti. So I'm eyeing something more in the 40s for Rigetti based on this market, based on their momentum, and the sales they just made are going to look very good quarter over quarter. So they're going to have the cash, the sales, the industry is gaining momentum. It's pretty fun to see. Okay, so IonQ has been absolutely drilling down. The last time we talked about IonQ on this channel, we marked out these lower highs. We talked about how we were printing lower highs, lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, very, very bearish, almost unnaturally. So I told the Discord, I said, this feels a lot like a market maker shakeout, a classic shakeout. Get the weak retail hands out of there. And then suddenly there's a buy signal and boom, we're almost back to 70. And this stock has these two levels here between 66.90 and 71.24. And we're still very new in these levels for IonQ. So I speak with some humility here, but I believe that we're in a gap fill situation between 66.90 and 71.24. Our next level of resistance to me would be that 71.24. And then we'd be looking for a gap fill and potentially, if a bullish run were to continue, if this is an actual reversal, then up 75 and above. We could also see a scenario where IonQ starts bouncing around, because we've seen IonQ bounce around. We'll just have to see, but these moves are very sharp and very decisive. So it's very tough to trade this on either side with any. If you're day trading this, it's difficult, because if you thought, oh, there's lots more downside from here until we get to a previous support level, well, your short or your put just became worthless in one day because we had a 13% move. So it's very hard to call the bottom and the top on these quantum stocks at this point in time with the way they're moving. All right, D-Wave. So D-Wave also put in an all-time high again today, and it's truly remarkable. And also we saw, and again, I encourage you to go look at that video that I created last night. It has about 35 different stories related to quantum and quantum progress, but a couple of those stories were D-Wave and their progress with specifically real world applications, such as their collaboration with the Wales Police Department. They also have had different news, such as their Japan Qubits conference, their expansion in that region of the world, like South Korea and Japan. So I think there's more in store for D-Wave in 2025. They've had kind of a slow season, but things are starting to pick up. We're getting a little bit higher of a clip. We saw also the Comcast. So they're starting to do some experiments with Comcast and their networks to see if their annealing can help with bandwidth and traffic. All right, LAES. So LAES has been a volatile stock, a post-quantum cybersecurity stock. It's put in higher highs and then it dumped down to $2 and change, $2.50. I actually put in a big buy order for shares down here because I believe in the long-term thesis for here, but we've had kind of a rocky ride, ups and downs, sharp rises and sharp drops. What we're seeing in this 8% move today, if we bring our volume in, we're seeing that we're a little bit overbought on LAES right now. So for LAES, we've recently put in a high of 479. There was a quick rejection there in 463. We closed in a very bullish spot for LAES, 434. And if we look back on the chart, there's only been a couple trading days where LAES has even been trading over that in 2025. So there's definitely bullish sentiment building up for LAES. keep this stock on your radar. If we see that PQC element in the quantum cybersecurity executive order that's potentially coming, this could be a massive catalyst for SEALSQ. And they haven't really recovered or had their run up to their 2024 highs. So SEALSQ LAES is looking really good. All right, so BigBear AI, they had the contract. They've been holding this uptrend. I really like the chart at this point in time. A lot of these stocks are getting love right now. Risk is on. So I think there's a couple things and a couple reasons why we're seeing widespread buying of these types of stocks like AI stocks, because we're getting weak data and the data is showing that there's more likely going to be more rate cuts. And in more rate cut and a rate cut heavy cycle, these smaller stocks that rely on borrowing to expand, like BigBear AI, which is in some debt still, if they can refinance that debt or they can borrow for cheaper, then they can expand their business operation. And the overall thesis, as we've talked about with Gene Inger on the show multiple times, is still intact on this, although they had a horrible earnings. Maybe they'll turn that around. And what I'm looking for from BigBear is a test of this 8. Can it push through this 876 where it was rejected twice? Do we see a push up to that 1043? And could $7 become an actual base of support, or are we going to see more choppiness on the way up? I think it's going to be choppy on the way up, but BigBear is looking pretty good from a technical standpoint. So Quantum Computing Inc. got absolutely demolished after their dilution, and investors haven't been breaking down the door to buy QUBT. And QUBT is probably accepting that as a trade-off, because now on the balance sheet, they're going to have an extra $500 million. QUBT is trading around $20 a share. It seems to have settled into around that $20 a share. And we've seen it trade here before in June and July. It looks like it might want to break out and get above 28. So watch QUBT in this type of market with this sentiment, watch it to the upside. And we could be in a situation where QUBT could have its own run and its own price discovery. So that chart is looking very interesting to me at this point in time. Okay, Archer Aviation. So a couple things on Archer Aviation. They have an air show this weekend. They've done a 7,000 foot altitude piloted eVTOL flight. They just did a 10,000 foot altitude piloted eVTOL flight. And they're having 1,000 of their staff come to this air show this weekend on Sunday for a demonstration. And the demonstration maybe could include a vertical takeoff and landing. And if they're able to demonstrate that, that would be massive for Archer stock, because Archer has been in an uptrend. It put in the lower lows. It started this breakout in November of 2024, put in lower lows in April and March, where a lot of stocks did. It found support at $8 a few times. Now we are trading squarely above the $9 point, and we are capturing $10 again. And $10 has seemed to be a point where Archer likes to spring up. So we've seen a few times we're close enough to this rising support, this imaginary line, where maybe with the right catalyst, which could be this weekend, Archer could have a big move. So we'll have to see. All right, Veritone. So Veritone, we did have the CEO onto the show. And since then, Veritone has been making a nice little run. We have to look to the left with Veritone. We know that they had a good quarter and they've had some price target upgrades. So the story is intact there. But if we look to the left, there's been a lot of runs up and then selling and selling and selling. So we are in what appears to be a reversal, but this is one also to be cautious with because it's moved a lot. It was $1.50 or so a share not too long ago this summer, and now it's trading at about $5 a share. So this has been a triple, and the stock is moving up. So I'm looking at 750 and 675 as potential areas of resistance. And then there's going to be a lot of bag holders in Veritone that are going to want to get out. So there's going to be very real resistance for Veritone to move up meaningfully from here without major catalysts, because there's a lot of people that are sitting here that have been holding these shares and are like, get me out, get me out, get me out. There's a couple of stocks that I'm in that boat, like, just get me out. And Plug Power is one that I've actually, so we're moving into now kind of an alternative energy play, and I like to diversify my portfolio. Plug Power has been having a nice little breakout, and they just had a sale of their hydrogen to a company in Europe. Now, this is a stock that was 70 cents in May or June, and it's now trading at about $2.80. So this is a huge move that's already happened. We were in a very calm uptrend channel, but then Plug found a bounce off of $1.38, and now we're sitting well above, and I could see Plug continuing bullishness, but Plug and Veritone have a similar situation. They have a lot of resistance, a lot of price history, a lot of grumpy people that have been holding the stock for a long time that are looking for a way out. So it's not going to be smooth sailing, but if they can keep putting together wins, Plug might be an interesting play. Okay, SoFi. So we're looking at a chart here for SoFi where we had on the weekly candles a look above $28 a share. We saw some sell down, and we're in between an important range here. We're in between this $26 range where SoFi has basically made a couple highs and got rejected, and we're between its all-time high. So we're going to put in another line here, and what I think is going to happen is they're going to come and do what they always do and give us a great earnings in November. And I think right now might be a buy the dip opportunity. Definitely anything below $25 a share. Also keep in mind this rising support is well intact, and we just create this rising support by connecting the bottoms and the trend line. And sure, we could see a retracement down to 2020 to 2022, something like that. But I see SoFi most likely being a $30, $35, $40 stock in this market if the bullishness continues. So I have personally been buying some shares back of SoFi that I sold on this dip. All right, Ondas, an insane stock. And I know a few of you have been asking about when I'm going to interview the CEO. I did reach out to him. We did have a time tentatively set. He was in DC, and a lot has been going on with the company. So it just hasn't worked out yet. I'm working on it. I know I've let him know that you guys want to see him on the show. So, but this stock has been on an absolutely meteoric rise. And of course they had the sale of the drones today that sent the stock up even higher. So we've been on a pretty crazy uptrend and just blasted through this $8 resistance. So what I'm looking at is $10 and $14. And I think Ondas really has the momentum behind it. It probably will be caught on 8. Buyers will step in at 8. So I could see just in a base case, something like this. I'm very bullish that eventually it'll capture 10 and move into a double-digit position. And finally, a totally random stock. I think I've talked about it once or twice, but this is a diaper company called Honest. And actually, Jeremy Financial Education put me on this company. And what I'm seeing is an entry opportunity, a buying opportunity. The stock was trading at $9 a share. It is now down to $3.67, but the financials are improving. I'm going to send you guys over to profitviz.com and I'll show you so you can see what I am seeing when I'm loading up on Honest. I see increasing revenue. I see decreasing debt and more assets than liabilities. I'm also seeing operating income flip positive. Their revenue is 100 million per quarter. Their market cap is 400 million. So they're getting, I think it's a pretty good price. Anyway, that is all I got for you. So we rapid fired a bunch of different stocks. I hope you enjoyed this The run in quantum is crazy. The best explanation I have for you guys is we're in a rate cut cycle and there's a lot of quantum news all the time. Besides that, we have the executive order that might come out about quantum and post-quantum cybersecurity. So keep that on your radar, and appreciate you being a subscriber of the channel and appreciate you watching. We'll see you in the next one. If you would like to support thequantumbull.com and the Quantum Bull YouTube channel, I do have YouTube memberships here. Each of them has exclusive perks. The Gold Bull membership gets you into our Discord with trade alerts, and we have a lot of fun over there. So I invite you to come join as a channel member.